When we talk about linear functions, there are a couple different things that we have to kind of take a look at. One of those things is the points that are along our function. Now, in the previous example that we did with hours and wage, when you are working a regular job, you will not necessarily always get paid for every single minute or second that you work. You'll usually get paid in chunks, whether that is in a full hour chunk, whether that is in a half hour or 15-minute chunks. It all depends on the employer. Some even do minute chunks. So in other words, we don't have an infinite number of points there. We have specific points that we are going to use. Okay, I shouldn't say not infinite. There could be infinite, but we are going to have specific points that we're going to use. We can only use 0 hours, a quarter hour, half hour, 3/4 hour. We wouldn't be able to use, an eighth of an hour because your employer may not pay you an eighth of an hour depending on your employer. Again, some may pay in to the minute, but they won't pay to the second. So they're not going to pay you exactly how much you work. They're going to round it off to the nearest minute or 15 minutes or half hour or hour. So when we talk about linear functions, some linear functions are going to be a series of points which are all connected to create a straight line. So those will be the ones where every point is possible. Okay. Now again, it's not. Each function is a little different, and we'll kind of go over some, and maybe we'll kind of try to come up with some ideas that work. Some are always all connected. Other ones are not. Okay. So others are a series of disconnected points. Disconnected. Gotta make sure I try to spell that right. Which cannot be connected because the points between are not valid in this scenario. Okay, so they're not valid. Again, if we go back to our hourly wage one, we cannot say that we would be paid for every second on that line, but for every minute. So it would be disconnected by the minutes, or disconnected by the quarter of an hour, so 15 minutes, or half an hour, depending on how your employer pays you. Okay, so in the above example, using hours worked compared to gross pay, should the points be connected? Well, we've gone over this a little bit. No, because most employers do not pay to the nearest second or less. Okay, they do not pay to the nearest second or less. They're going to pay you to the nearest minute or quarter of an hour or half hour or hour even. Okay, so it's, or maybe even a day. Okay, they might pay you per day depending on your employer. They're not going to pay you to the nearest second. So that's something that we have to watch out for. Not every single point is going to work there, just the ones that are along that line.